Hey everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. Well, I'm officially a day late again doing my College Days YouTube series, which of course is coming near to an end, or close to an end. Um, let's just say I got a lot of bad news at work yesterday, and after coming home from DoorDash around midnight last night, and just between the depression and the exhaustion, I decided just to go to bed early. I was just not in the mood to do YouTube. And I decided that at this point, nobody was going to be watching my YouTube video until the morning, anyhow. So it was just better for me to wait. I was actually going to do this yesterday afternoon, but Katie decided to just come over and see me, so we spent a couple of hours together before I left for work. Originally, we were under the impression that we weren't going to see each other again until Sunday. Well, things changed, and now we're going to see each other pretty much every single day until Sunday, and then some. So that's more or less what's going on. Let's just say I'm down to 3 days a week of work, and that's pretty much going to be the story until I start with Perfect North here in the next few weeks. So, Lord willing, I can start with them that much sooner. It's getting rough. Definitely praying and hoping for God to get me that job of Perfect North here soon. So I actually have a Arby's order at 12:10. It's just a couple of miles away from me. So gonna keep this short as always. And having a time restraint always gives me that incentive. And honestly, my College Days YouTube series honestly um, don't need to be that long anyway. Just because of the fact that they're really not that exciting, if that makes any sense. And just because of the fact that there really is, nothing to the my College Days YouTube series other than I'm just basically talking about um, what uh, my college days were like. I mean, it's just a glimpse into my personal life, and that's about it. So, anyway, today we're actually going to be discussing um, what I did with my college life, so to speak, after I left Polk State College. So I don't know if you guys hear any sounds in the background or not, and Lord willing, you don't, as I don't usually watch any of my at-home vlogs with this laptop. Ever since I started doing phone link, I keep getting notifications all the time from my phone. Usually it's Messenger, YouTube. I get like 50 YouTube notifications a day, not even joking. I also get notifications from Myra. It's kind of annoying. I mean, it's kind of nice in some ways, but it's kind of also annoying. But anyway, so when I was going to Polk State College, I literally just had two college level math classes, and I had one more Spanish class, and then I had my associate's degree officially. But of course, I had chosen to come up to Kentucky voluntarily because I felt called by God to work for Answers in Genesis, which owns the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter, which I live about 15 minutes away from the Ark Encounter now, and work in the Ark Encounter. With that being said, as well, and sorry, so I was like, well, God, I just really feel led by you to start working for this ministry. So I went ahead and I hold on, let me respond to this message. Sorry about that. So I basically went ahead and I moved up to Kentucky, and I honestly didn't know when I was going to be uh, working for Answers in Genesis. I honestly didn't know what I was going to be doing. I didn't even know what my job was going to be. But to make a long story short, I did not get into Answers in Genesis right away. Sad to say. And this guy really needs to be paying better attention when I send him stuff. But whatever. Um, that's okay. I get told all the time at my job that I don't pay close enough attention, but even then, I pay better attention to simple details than this guy does. But it's okay. So I mean, no, I did not get into Answers in Genesis right away, but I still got a decent job. So I really feel like God had a reason for me to start with Meyer right away. Now, there's a reason why I'm mentioning Meyer, and the reason why is because of the fact that um, when I started working for Meyer, um, one of the very first benefits that they shared with me was, oh, guess what? We do free college. And if you've been living in Kentucky for a year, and once you've been employed here long enough, and I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And I was like, okay, well, um, I'm, going to go ahead and try this, come this college thing out. So I basically had only been with Meyer a few months when I first found this out. I only been living in Kentucky for a few months, so I at least put forth the effort to talk to you, United Food Workers 75 or whatever it was, United Food Commercial Workers 75. I don't need to know about health enrollment. And I talked to them and asked them, like, okay, what do I need to do in order to um, basically be eligible for this free college thing? And they said to me, as long as you've been living in Kentucky for a year, then you can go ahead and apply for this thing. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And I basically decided to just wait it out and just focused on my job at the time. So I came back a long time later, and I talked to her again, and she said, yeah, she would help me with the whole thing. So I um, went through the whole process, and eventually I became an Eastern Gateway Community College student. So originally I was under the impression that it was Gateway Community College in northern Kentucky, and I talked to them, and they said, "Oh no, it's still going to cost." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird." I was told that so and so would pay for this, and they were like, "Oh, we don't have any partnership with that um, company." And I was like, "Okay, well, let me go back and talk to them." They were like, "Yeah, you probably should do that." So I go back and talk to them, and turns out it was actually Eastern Gateway, way out in Steubenville, Ohio, and I was like, okay, well that's weird. So I mean, I got everything figured out. So I started the college process while I was actually, well, not me personally, but while COVID was going on, if you will. And this actually ended up working out perfectly because, the whole COVID thing was a mess. And I wasn't actually um, working for Answers in Genesis at the time. So basically, the entire time that I was working for Meyer, I was taking these college classes, and I can safely tell you guys when I first initially started working for Meyer, um, I was taking these college classes. I originally started taking these college classes when I was living with a couple of guys and my brother in Burlington, Kentucky, and eventually I did get a job with Answers in Genesis, but I still retained my job with Meyer for a couple of months. But um, I'm very sure that I still somehow managed to complete my college, even though I had technically left Meyer, which is weird, I know, right? So I actually left Meyer back in April of 2021, but Eastern Gateway allowed me to continue going to their school for free the entire time, which doesn't make any sense to me, even though I was with Answers in Genesis at the time. So I originally started out this free college program when I was with Meyer, and I talked to them and I said that I had left Meyer, and I wasn't sure if I was still able to go in for free. And I guess what happened was because of the fact that I was still paying out money towards the United Concessions Group. I guess that what their rule was, as long as I was willing to pay United Food Commercial Workers 75 on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or whatever it was, then they were going to keep allowing me to go to their school, and that's all that they cared about. So I worked something out with United Food Commercial Workers 75. I mean, granted, it's been a few years, but I figured something out, and I still managed to be a part of United Food Commercial Workers 75, and that way I could still keep going to school for free. I honestly don't know how it all worked out, but it worked out. It was hilarious. And I still continue to go to that school. And I was, working for Answers in Genesis. So July 2021 came along. And this was a very difficult time for me because, not even joking, the 4th of July came along. And I was actually at work at the time. And I should note that I had not seen my brother in maybe a couple of days. Yes, I was living with him, but I hadn't seen him in a couple of days, and I wasn't necessarily in the same living vicinity as him. So my dad calls me and says that your brother has COVID. But I figured the right thing I should do was at least let them know. So my boss at the time freaks out and has me escorted behind property, and he literally yells at me for even being there. I mean, he had every right. I mean, COVID was a scary time, even for Answers in Genesis. And as a safety precaution, I did have a DPS, or Department of Public Safety, escort off property back to my car. So Katie's not the only one who's been escorted off property by DPS, and while she was working for them, I've been escorted off property by them as well, and I'm very sure I've had it happen not just once but a couple of times. But they've always had very good reasons for it, and that was just one of them. And it's always embarrassing because It's like, really? You're not going to let me go on the employee show? Oh, no, 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 we couldn't do that. And I'm just like, really? Like, okay. So, what? It is what it is. And I ended up going back to the rental house I was living in at the time. And I basically came home to a broken AC that was very rough. And I'm like, and to make matters worse, it was the busiest month of the year, and I only got COVID pay for a week, so I ended up maxing out my entire credit card that month because of the fact that I had no money. Um, it was also rough because the only way I could buy food for the first week or two there was having food delivered, whether it was DoorDash, Uber Eats, or anything to that nature. Of course, having groceries delivered to the door. I was so sick at first, I couldn't even leave the house. So, for the longest time, yes, that's exactly what I was doing, was having food delivered. But guess what? I still continued to go to college. I still continued to work in the basement, the coolest part of the entire house, on my college work. And then, of course, there were times once I started getting better, I was continuing to work on it upstairs. It was honestly the only other thing that was keeping me sane during those 3 weeks I was at home. But I was spending so much time doing work, like I was really staying on top of it. I hate to admit it, but I was sneaking over to my parents' place a couple of times just to do work because I needed their printer for whatever reason. I don't remember why. But I also I needed an excuse to get out of the house. I was just so tired of being cooped up in my own house. And, I'll be honest with you guys, I loved um, being over there, and I was doing my college work over there. So I was actually taking an anatomy and physiology class at the time, and there was so much online lab work involved, and I was in some ways kind of blessed that God allowed me to have COVID because of the fact that I was able to just focus solely just on this class, and I end up getting an A on it. I did not know there was so much involved. I mean, I never would have guessed that I would have to literally look at the human tongue and find out like where this is, where that is. I end up getting 100% on that. I mean, anatomy was one of the hardest classes because not only did you have to do well on all the quizzes and tests and homework assignments, but then you also had to score well enough on all their labs too. And I mean, you only had so many tries per lab assignment, and then you had to have that all turn in by a certain time frame too. And I was like, oh my word, this is insane. I had this one professor around the same time frame, if I remember, and my this was before I had COVID, and he was a history professor. So not only did he require a lot of reading to be done, but he also required a couple of 500 word essays, and then I think he also required papers to be done as well. And I remember there was this one night, it was my brother's birthday, it was on a Thursday, and I had asked the professor if there was any way I could do an assignment or quiz just a day later, just to make sure I could go spend time with my brother, because I knew there was no way that I could go celebrate my brother's birthday and still manage to get to um, or get this college work done. And he basically said to me, if you go and celebrate your brother's birthday and you try to cram it in, and that isn't in by midnight or 11:59 as they like to say, then I'm going to give you an automatic zero. I could care less if it's your brother's birthday or not. When I assign an assignment by a certain deadline, I expect it to be done, no excuses. And I was like, wow, dude. It almost sounded as insane as my math professor that I took online. I mean, Eastern Gateway has some pretty brutal professors. I will tell you guys that right now. But you know what? At the end of the day, I was so thankful when I got done with that. And considering I got pretty much A's and B's, you can understand why I have a GPA of 4.0 and why I got part of why Phi Theta Kappa mailed me my stuff. And here's what's even crazier. So this is the icing on the cake. I actually was part of that college for so long that when my roommate said you got to move out, and I moved in with my parents, I forgot to change my address while I was still part of the college, and I forgot to change my address to my parents' address. So when I was supposed to get my associate's degree, ended up going to my old address, and then who knows what happened to it from there. And because nobody knew who Katie was at the time, like when my DoorDash stuff accidentally got sent to that address, there was somebody living there who actually knew who Katie was and had actually contacted her going, "Is this your David?" That's the only reason why Katie even knew my DoorDash stuff had gone over there. The only reason why I got the first stuff so quickly is because I got an email stating I had gone to that address, and I had to contact them and get my address updated to this address. And then the second one, or the original one, went over there, and a friend of Katie's contacted her saying, "Is this your David?" You know, it's just Katie being in my life has really made a difference. But this is not so much about Katie as this is about college. So, I ended up waiting until my brother got his bachelor's degree last December, so almost a year ago, when my dad goes, "Shouldn't you have had your associate's degree by now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And so I contacted them, and they said that it went to 2557. I'm only saying it because I don't live there anymore. And I go, "Oh no, I stopped living there like a long time ago." And they said, "Oh, let's go ahead and fix that right now." So I got it updated to the correct address, and within a few weeks, I got my associate's degree mailed to me at my parents' address because that's where I was living at the time, and I just brought it with me here. So, anyway, that's the whole story behind how I got my associate's degree, why I went to Eastern Gateway Community College, how I got it, did it for free, and how I got to where I am now. So, when I see you guys next in the next vlog, I want to share with you guys why I've chosen to not go back to college at this time, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to go back. As of right now, there is a reason why I don't want to go back. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not possible to go back to college for me, but I'm saying that at this time, I just don't want to go back. And in the next vlog, I'm actually going to be sharing that with you guys. So make sure you watch my very last vlog. I told you guys I was getting close. You just didn't know how close. Just to hear why I don't want to go back. And once again, I encourage you guys to make sure you're watching my vlogs on Mondays for the history of the theme park evangelist. So I'm still going to be YouTubing on Wednesdays. It's just not going to be a YouTube series. It's just going to be some random vlog every single Wednesday. And it may not always be on Wednesdays. It might be on Thursdays. But I'm going to do my best to keep it on Wednesdays if possible. Alright guys, it's almost 12 done. I'm actually supposed to be getting my food right now and I'm not even there yet. So I will see you guys in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.